Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Once again, we are coming for the new parasha, and this week it is the fifth parasha of the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, which is called Shoftim, Judges. And it goes from Devarim, Deuteronomy 16:18 to 21:9. I will not go so much into the parasha itself. I want to take the opportunity to explain something which I think is very important for believers, especially from those who are coming from the Goyim, from the nations, and who have joined themselves to Yeshua, because there is a lot of discussion, and I say vain discussion, in the body of Mashiach. And I speak in particular also to my friends and my brethren in the Philippines. Take note, in the Philippines. Because I have spent enough time there to see what is taught there in different assemblies. And over the years, I got confirmation from other assemblies. So, what is the point I want to show you today? There is a discussion that you can see in social medias, I will not give the name, concerning the oral Torah and the Torah of Moshe. So some pretend, oh, we don't need the oral Torah, we don't need all this stuff. This is a Jewish stuff, and it is not for us. We don't need that. We have just the Torah, and the Torah is good for us. These people and the leaders of the assembly, I have posted already many times, that if your leader in the assembly you are going do not teach you the Torah, you have to leave. They are false teachers. Because the Torah is the foundation of all truth, as it is written in the book of Psalm 119, 152, 89, 142, etc. You can read it for yourself. So, what I want to say today is that we indeed need the oral Torah. And as I was discussing this morning with my beloved wife, when we are living here in our countries, it's the same for your countries, we have a book which is called the Book of the Law of the Country. My question is, do you go with this book all around every morning? You take the book under your arm in case something happens, that you will look at the book and say, oh, let me see what does the law says. No. You go by what you know, what you have learned from your parents, from the oral teaching from your parents and from the, the school or wherever you were. And it's the same for every country. Every country has its own personal laws. Some are similar, some are in particular for this country. So you see, we need also today the oral law. We don't go around with a book called the Law of the Philippines, the Law of France, the Law of Israel, the Law of Canada, the Law of the US. We all have learned majority of the most important laws in order to live in a community. And we have learned it by the mouth, the oral, what we have heard. This is the same with the oral Torah. The oral Torah has a very important purpose, is to teach people how to interpret some issues coming from the Torah. And the PARASHAH SHOFTIM is a good example of that, because the Torah do not give details how to handle some problem. People knew that because they were trained in that in this time. But came a point where it was necessary to put it in writing form. Before, before the 2nd century, the majority century common era, the oral Torah was really oral, by mouth. And this is why we need to understand that after the destruction of the temple and the beginning of the diaspora, some Jews, some rabbis, decided to compile it. And we have the first book, which is called the Mishnah, which began to recall all these laws that they don't go lost for the benefit of the people. How do I handle the problem? So if you don't know, you cannot apply. And here I will give you a few examples. It said, for instance, you will seek for judges and officers. How do you do that? How do you do that? Let me go into the text itself, and I will go to verse 16, Devarim 16, and he say, okay, just wait. I want to put it in English because here I have it in French. So 16, and I will read for you. Judges and officers shall you make you in all thy gates, which Jehovah thy will give you throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. You shall not rest judgment, you shall not reject person, neither take a gift, for a gift does blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. So now, tell me, whom do you choose as judge and officers? Whom? There is no details. No details given in these two verses. No details. So if we don't know, we can pick anyone. Do you take somebody who has already been condemned? Somebody who do not fit because it's not fit in his mind? And so on and so on. You see, first point can demonstrate that we need to have oral law which explain, because of the experience of the elders, those who have been before, they have compiled this text in order to explain what we need. How do we do that? I will give you other example. You see, he say here, I'll go to the chapter 17, verse 8, he say, if there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, between stroke and stroke, matter of controversy within thy gates, then shall you arise, get thee up into the place which Jehovah thy Elohim shall choose. And you shall come unto the priest, the Levite, and to the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. So you see, so which matter is too hard? Which judgment is too hard? You see, once again, we see that we need the oral Torah to explain to people what is the matter, how does it goes. And you have to know that it was always a legal way to do it. Even Yeshua do not contradict this way. He said in the book of Matthew, he said that the scribe and Pharisee sit in Moshe's seat. This means they have the authority given by Moshe. And he say what they do, what they tell you, do it. Yes, I know. He said do not do like they do because they say do not do it. But he say what they do, what they say, do it. You see, don't take them as example, but what they say, do it. You see, it doesn't say don't do. It said do it. You understand? So we see here another example of the validity of the oral law. And this is something we need to understand in order to break this anti-Semitism, because it is a form of anti-Semitism if we go against that, against the oral law. And I will demonstrate you that. I will go to the book of Bereshit, Genesis. Okay? In the time there was no, Moshe has not given the Torah, but I will show you something. It's very important. If we go to the last chapter, the fourth last chapter of the book, when Yaakov gives the blessing to his children, he goes and he will, this is when he gives all the blessing to all the children one by one. And then he come to Judah in Bereshit 14:7, Genesis 14:7, and he will go in the verse 8. Yehudah, you are he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before you. Yehudah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stooped down. He couches as a lion, as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Verse 10. Listen carefully. The scepter shall not depart from Yehudah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. You see, this verse tells us clearly that the authority is given to Yehudah until Shiloh come. Shiloh is another name for the Mashiach. Everyone will tell you that Shiloh means when the Mashiach comes. Until today, the Mashiach has not come. Until he comes, the lawgiver and the scepter of authority will not depart from Yehudah. Period. If you don't like, that is one point. But the truth remains. They have the authority. They have the authority. All the people today coming from the nations, from among the Goyim, no matter who they are, if they are descendants from the 10 tribes, or if they are descendants, or they are from the nations, we have to respect Yehudah. And this is a battle within us. We have to be humble. We have to understand that we don't have any authority. I repeat, we don't have any authority, and we shouldn't criticize Judah. Are they perfect? No. Like us, they make mistakes. Yes, they make errors. But nevertheless, they have been given the authority by Elohim himself. By Elohim himself. And it goes from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. We cannot do that. I will show you. We came from the pagan world. What do we say? Go, what Shaul said in Ephesians. He said, you who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in time past you walk according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in time past, in the lust of our flesh, fully fulfilling the desire of the flesh and of the mind, where by nature children of wrath, even as other. Even we were dead in sin, he has quickened us together with Mashiach, and has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly place in Mashiach Yeshua. You see, we were in the world without Elohim. So, when we come to the Torah, when we come to the Shabbat, we don't have any authority to change anything until Mashiach come back. The only one who will change everything, will restore everything what has been broken, is Mashiach. No other. The King Mashiach, when he come back, will restore everything. So I really plead with everyone who will watch the video to share it, so that the shalom and the love between Yehudah and the house of Israel, Ephraim, may grow, that we may be in unity. We need that. We need today to work in unity and to understand that what we have is to be grateful. Grateful for the privilege we have, you and me, that Elohim has chosen us in Mashiach Yeshua to live this life before him. No other things. We have to learn, and to learn what we can learn. And I encourage everyone, if you want to take time, you can go in the Mishnah, you can go in the Talmud, And you will see how they explain some laws which are very important to understand. I give just a few, but you have, in this Parashat Shoftim, you have property, boundaries for the property. In the Philippines, you know that very well, that stones are still in place to demonstrate the boundaries. Okay, you have the many other laws, and we have here this very known passage from Devarim 18, where Moshe said that Elohim will raise a prophet like him unto his bread, from among his bread. I will show that to you, and it's very interesting because this is something which strengthens us. We go to the chapter 18, and he will say in 18:15 to 18, Yehovah thy Elohim raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken, according to all that you desire of Yehovah thy Elohim in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yehovah, my Elohim, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. And Yehovah said to me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken to my word, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. So now, that is what they say, Moshe. Now, if we go to the book of Yohanan, I will go there and I will show you. The book of Yohanan, chapter 1, we go to the verse 41. Excuse me. You see here, very interesting. Okay, so now I am here. In the verse, I start with the verse 43, 143 in the book of Yohanan, John. The day following, Yeshua will go forth into Galilee and find Philip and say to him, follow me. Now Philip was of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip finds Nathanael and said to him, we have found him, of whom Moshe in the Torah and the prophet did write, Yeshua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. The son of Joseph. You see, that is very interesting. And we need to understand, because, you see, he said here, whom Moshe in the Torah and the prophet did write. You remember, we just read that in PARASHAH SHOFTIM 18. So, Yeshua, when he came the first time, he was not coming and proclaimed to be the Mashiach. No, he came as a prophet like Moshe. All what you look around in the Brit Hadasha, you have to understand that the work of Yeshua was the work of a prophet to bring back the remnant of the house of Judah and the few from Israel back to the Torah. So if you look a bit in the history, you will see the trouble that was there between Jerusalem and the northern Galilee and all this evil what was going on at this time. So please go back and think about that. Think about this so-called oral Torah. The oral Torah is good because it is a great help to understand how to apply the Torah. If we neglect that, then we will be like imposters. So we need to learn. We don't need to learn everything. There's many things, but we have to use common sense and decide and see what is good for us today, what we have to do. You understand? So, brother and sister, I hope this will help you to understand that we don't have to criticize our bread from Yehuda because of the oral Torah, but the oral Torah is a benefit for every one of us if we want to learn.
Because the oral Torah, it also helps to be in in the harmony of the community.
Yeah, the community of
Israel, because they're in charge from that. So
we all pretend to belong to Israel. Yes, but as such, we need to accept that we have some who are a lawgiver. The lawgiver will not depart from Judah. When Mashiach, Yeshua, come back, he is from the tribe of Judah, and he will be the ultimate king who will rule over all Israel. This means over you and me and all those who are in the kingdom and the nations. And what we will do according to the Torah and according to the oral law, which will be implemented at this time. So don't make any error and listen to these people who are poisoned in their tongues and always backbite at our brethren from Judah to accuse them of many words, many things. Don't do that. If you have done it, then repent and change your thinking about that. So I hope this will help you, and if you have any question, you can pose your question in the comments and I will answer you. So have a good Shabbat and a blessed week. See you for the next parasha. Shalom.